So there's a lot of different styles of skydiving. I had a friend, his name was Rob Harris. He would do skyboarding. So he was doing a Mountain Dew commercial, and first shoot didn't open up, and then he just waited for the second shoot, but it didn't open up in time. Have you had close calls like that?
I'm sitting at roughly 1,400 jumps right now.
Oh my God.
Usually you have to use your reserve chute roughly about every 1,000 jumps. I've had to use mine once. And I would say that was kind of a little bit of a close call. What ended up happening is just canopy came out, it had a little bit of line twists, and usually line twists are not really that big of a deal. This is when I was kind of early on, maybe like 200 jumps or so, between 200 or 300 jumps or so. And so I just didn't manage it well because I didn't know better. And so it just ended up started diving a little bit. And so I executed all my emergency procedures, did exactly what I was supposed to do. And yeah, the rest is kind of history.
All right, I'm here with Evan Santangelo, and we're going to get into some photography, according to like what I've seen on your YouTube, skydiving, which is always fun. But you have your own little thumbprint when you go to his website. You know, you can kind of see, you know, especially on looking back right now behind him, he's got these. Well, how would you describe what you said that in the pregame? These little.
They're like little ships. I do that in my downtime, actually, between projects. It's kind of like a small little decompressor. Actually, they're like metal ships. So they come all in like sheet metal, bunch of like 4 or 5 different sheets of metal. It's all laser cut, and so all the pieces fit together. They have like basically a male and a female end, and you put it in there, and then you twist it, and so they all fit together like that. They're actually pretty cool. Very, very cool little decompressor between projects, and I love doing that.
Well, yeah, maybe I look into things a little too much, which I tend to do. But I mean, you're what you do is really intense. And I want to get into the origin story and all that, but I just want to like,
sure.
What you do is intense. Do you need to like decompress? I mean, like when it's like, I can imagine it being like, because I've never jumped out of a plane before, but I can imagine it being like, being a rock star and then coming off stage, and then you hear that, you know, all that energy. Yeah. That was like that tone.
So when I say decompress from projects, I'm talking about like work projects. So all of the skydiving stuff I do more as a hobby for fun. And then through social media and all that kind of stuff, that's where I end up getting more of the professional projects. Like I do some corporate projects and some graphic animation, things like that. So that's more what I'm talking about. Skydiving is absolutely what I do to decompress for fun. But the little finicky things, that's what I like between the work projects, right?
You skydive to decompress and have fun. All right.
Sure.
So,
absolutely.
All right, let's get into it. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah. So, born and raised here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm still here. I try and get out as much as I can, but born and raised here, and grew up doing a lot of stuff. Like, was more of like. Parents didn't really give me any kind of video games or anything like that. We had like a Game Boy or something like that, but it was more just like go outside, just have fun. We grew up doing a bunch of like, honestly, looking back, really stupid stuff as like just being kids, right? So drinking water from the hose and then like everything that kind of comes around with that idea. Like we would put 4 or 5 people on a longboard and like run it down the street, or, you know, I think our neighbors were getting their trees trimmed or something like that. And we're like, oh, we want to do that. So my dad ended up buying us, we went to Home Depot and like Dick's Sporting Goods, and we got like a harness, some saws and some ropes, and we ended up doing it ourselves. I don't know why the heck they trusted us to do that. But did some stuff like that. And then parents got us some wave runners when we were probably 14 to 16 or so. And so spent those years kind of growing up at the lake. That was a lot of fun. Wakeboarding, water skiing, slaloming, barefoot skiing, things like that. That kind of ran its course for like maybe a year or two. And then we really just kind of went out there with friends just to chill. So we would just go grab their wave runners. This is when gas was super, super expensive. So we just pay the launch fee, go out to the lake and find a spot, just chill and just talk, have some music playing, you know, just hang out, that kind of stuff. But we were always trying to like figure out some new kind of like stunt to pull off. So we brought like some ramps out there, and I think we went thrift shopping one time and ended up buying one of those like water ski trainers for like 2 and 3 year olds. And we just like, got a long rope, tied it up to the land, and then just like ramped it into the lake and stuff. Just stupid stuff like that, right? So once the whole lake thing kind of ran its course, then ended up going into skydiving. When I was about 16,
this all makes sense. This is what.
Yeah.
So you're looking for the next thing. The next thing. I do have a friend that skydives, and he did it once, and he's that guy. It's like, I gotta do this like all the time.
It's very addictive, man. It's very, very addictive.
Is that how it was with you?
So I had always wanted to do it, right? So when I was about 16, I saw some dude on YouTube. This was like early Red Bull days, like one of the OG, wingsuit flyers flying down the side of a mountain from a helicopter or something like that. And I still can't find that video to this day on YouTube. Actually, I've searched pretty much everything I possibly can. And my feed is obviously full of skydiving stuff. But I saw that one day and I was like, okay, that's what I want to do one day. And so fast forward a few years, I think I was about 23. This was about 6-7 years ago. Ended up, before that, for my 18th birthday, Dad pulled me out of school to do my first tandem. So I actually threw up on the final to land just a little bit because I hadn't had anything to eat that day, and then tried to like eat a banana beforehand. And yeah, it was kind of a funny experience, but I knew that I wanted to do it. So 1-2 tandems wasn't going to be enough. And then it's expensive. So once I had enough money, I ended up started skydiving.
So there's a lot of different styles of skydiving. I had a friend, his name was Rob Harris. He he would do snowboarding in the sky, basically.
Okay. Skydboarding.
Skyboarding. So he was doing a Mountain Dew commercial. This is in the 90s. Okay. And the first
OG stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. He was the guy. He was also a DJ, a very popular DJ in LA.
Okay.
And first shoot didn't open up. And then he just waited for the second shoot, but it didn't open up in time. So, have you had close calls like that? Like where,
so I'm sitting at roughly 1,400 jumps right now.
Oh my God.
Which is, I would say, I'm not a noob. It's not exactly like, I wouldn't say pro level. Pro level is somewhere in like the 5,000 range, right? But I'm not a noob. So usually you have to use your reserve chute roughly about every 1,000 jumps. I've had to use mine once. And I would say that was kind of a little bit of a close call. What ended up happening is just canopy came out, had a little bit of line twists. And usually line twists are not really that big of a deal. This is when I was kind of early on, maybe like 200 jumps or so, between 200 or 300 jumps or so. And so I just didn't manage it well because I didn't know better. And so it just started diving a little bit. And so I executed all my emergency procedures, did exactly what I was supposed to do. And the rest is kind of history.
Let's talk about that because a lot of people have seen these. I just heard that you say it, line twists. It's basically, there's a lot of videos out there right now, and guys are like sitting there and their whole chute is twisted up and they're falling. And you're like, oh my God, am I witnessing a death here? So what's the procedure? What's the steps?
So normally, obviously, you deploy your first first parachute with a small pilot chute, right? And so your main parachute will end up coming out, and like if you're on kind of more of the bigger size parachutes, they tend to have better opening characteristics. It's kind of an inverse relationship, right? You either get good performance on openings, or you get higher speed or higher performance on smaller canopies, right? So kind of similar to paragliding, I'd imagine. I don't know too much about that, but bigger is going to be more docile. It's going to be more slow. They're going to have lighter loaded canopies, and so. They're a little bit more docile, but once you start getting into the more high performance canopies, they tend to have more squirrely opening characteristics, but they also have higher flight performance. So they'll go much faster. They have longer recovery arcs. So when you put it in a dive, it's not just going to come out of a dive like that. It'll like nice, long and swoop, and it'll allow you to transfer that inertia from vertical to horizontal. And that's kind of what everyone's going for, is a longer swoop, right? A longer recovery arc. And so, did that kind of answer your question? I'm a novice. I don't, but sure. I can grasp the concept. So where do you do most of your dives? In Texas?
Or did you go all over?
Between San Antonio and Austin right now, actually, you said you're from Georgetown, so it's right in San Marcos. Just east of San Marcos, there's a drop zone there. I grew up. The majority of where I was jumping was a small drop zone in Luling, which I'm sure you've had barbecue from there, right?
Where?
Luling.
No, where's that?
So just south of Lockhart, actually.
Okay, Lockhart. Yeah, well, that's Black's barbecue.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff there. But yeah, Luling was just north of Luling. I was jumping there for maybe 5 years or so, and then that place shut down. Had some airport that like kicked us out or something like that. And then for about a year, I was jumping in Castroville, which I'm in San Antonio, so that's right west of San Antonio. And now I am back up at a place called Skydive Spaceland in San Marcos. I'm a load organizer up there, so basically I just find people to jump with, organize jumps for them, and kind of help them grow and learn.
You know, whenever there's like a group or a contingent of something like this, I want to know like what it's like how it was in the beginning, you know, but then you get in the inside, you know, scene of this whole industry, you know, what's it like, you know, from the pilots to the jumpers, to the arguments, to the funny, to the quirky, to the, you know, give us like you know, how this industry, you know, has it's its own thumbprint. I want to know what it's like.
Yeah, absolutely. So largely, it attracts a certain kind of individual, right? And so that can be, it's a great thing. It really is. But it can be a little bit dangerous because if you don't really have your ego in check, that ego can cause you. And the biggest thing that I've seen is people letting their ego get ahead of them. And in certain like arguments, right, before getting on the plane or something like that, they'll get in an argument with someone and they'll have something to prove on that jump, right? And so that's usually when they try and crank the hardest swoop and end up misjudging it, and that's usually when they'll have a hard landing or something like that. So there's that aspect to it, and that's not the biggest part. I would say that the biggest part of it is there's a lot of really, really genuinely good people that I've met, and there's this really special bond that you share with some people, or the majority of people, because you're sharing this, like, even if you have never jumped with them before, you're still jumping out of the same plane as them. And so there's this really weird bond that keeps you together with people. And so it's a very, very unique kind of, I would imagine, kind of like surfing almost. You're kind of sharing the same waves. I'm not a huge surfer by any means, but there is just this weird bond that keeps people together, and you'll know these people forever. It's a very small community. It's a very, very small community. I think maybe 40, 50,000, maybe even less, maybe between 30 and 45,000 people in the U.S. that actually jump.
Meet the Bolo Pack, the ultimate travel companion that transforms into a hammock, a pop-up tent, and even a cooler. Whether you're hiking, camping, or chilling at the beach, the Bolo Pack has you covered. First up, the Bolo Pack is a sleek, compact backpack, perfect for day trips or long adventures. Need a break? With a simple pull, the Bolo Pack transforms into a relaxing hammock, perfect for catching your breath during hikes. Planning to spend the night? The Bolo Pack also converts into a pop-up tent, giving you shelter wherever you go. And the best part? The Bolo Pack doubles as a cooler, keeping your food and drinks fresh for hours. Let me show you how easy it is to switch between modes. First, the hammock. Just a few simple steps, and you're ready to relax. Next, the pop-up tent for quick shelter setup. And finally, the cooler function, ensuring you stay refreshed on the go. From day hikes to weekend getaways, the Bolo Pack adapts to your needs. Whether you're chilling, camping, or keeping your snacks cool, ready to upgrade your travel game? Get your Bolo Pack today and take your adventures to the next level. Link in the description.
Yeah, with surfing, it's definitely more individualistic because you know,
sure.
Just as we're talking, you know, a viral video came out where, you know, a surfer, a bodyboarder got in the way of a surfer when he's trying to catch a wave, and he punched him as they're, you know, it's a whole viral thing. Did you see that?
I haven't seen that. But
that would not happen with skydivers.
No. Yeah, there's no water underneath us. Ground is not as soft as water.
Right. So,
but yeah, you asked about the pilots. The pilots are super cool. Generally speaking, pretty cool. Jump pilots are, from what I've learned, their own kind of breed.
what's a jump pilot as opposed to
just like a regular aviation pilot? A jump pilot would be someone who flies jumpers.
Okay.
Generally speaking, I feel like they're a little bit more on the renegade side. And this is, I've grown up around my whole aviation experience has kind of been jump pilots, right? Yeah. So I thought that was the standard, but I'm starting to get a little bit more into the general aviation side of things and kind of meeting more of those people. And I find that they're very much like by the book, and like safety above everything, which is, I mean, jump pilots are as well. But there's a little bit more. I mean, you're jumping people you're flying a plane with a door open, you know? Right. So it's kind of that a different kind of breed that I've found can fly jumpers.
You're still so young. I mean, 1,400. You know, that's a staggering amount. Your age, but you started at 18. The day you turned 18 is that when you went. Is that? Do you have to be 18 to jump, or why just?
Yeah. And a lot of that is governed by the actual systems that the skydiving instructors will use. So the parachute systems, in the manual, they say you can't take anyone under 18 or something like that. So I think that if you find, and that's the UPT is the United Parachute Technologies is the person or the company that makes tandem gear, right? Mm. And so they govern that. But if you can find something, another manufacturer who makes other gear, there's only a handful of them. And I think you can waiver that down to like 16 years old, something like that. I don't know the specifics on that, but generally speaking, it's 18 years old. I did my first tandem at 18. I think I did another tandem at 21 or 22, and then started making enough money to actually make it happen and go through the licensing process at about 23, 24.
Yeah, how have you monetized this thing? I mean, what does this look like as far as a career?
In terms of a career for normal skydivers, so a tandem instructor needs at least 500 jumps, and then you have to go through a whole rating system. There's different avenues that you can go down there. I don't actually work in the sport. This is really just a hobby that I do pretty much every weekend, and I've learned how to kind of get around the.
You're kind of like an influencer on like YouTube, though, right? I mean, like it's like you have like a good following on that, you know, and.
Yeah, YouTube's pretty good. I've been working on YouTube. I like pushing fun content, that kind of stuff. And I'm in a very unique place. I'm very, very grateful for the place that I'm at the place Lone Star in Luling. They had asked me to be a load organizer at 300 jumps or so. And so before that, I had spent a lot of money in the wind tunnel, like iFly. I'm not sure if you've ever been to iFly.
I fly right for the 35 and the 35. To see, I'm from LA.
Yeah.
I-35 of iFly. So there's only one. Is that one location?
Yeah, so they have tons of locations. We've got one in San Antonio as well.
All right.
But basically, a lot of skydivers will go up there and use the wind tunnel to work on their flying skills. Now, the iFly indoor skydiving and actual skydiving have no relationship with each other, but the skills are the only thing that transfers. So any kind of license you get for skydiving, you can't just go in the wind tunnel. Very, very different kind of flying as well. But a lot of people will use the wind tunnel and their instructors there to basically hone their skills and use it to transfer in the sky. It'll take maybe 5 to 10 jumps for you to actually transfer those skills and for you to kind of look like what you're doing in the tunnel. But yeah, I used the tunnel quite a bit. Started getting fairly good at flying, and so then I was able to start teaching other people. And basically, that means that my slot is covered, so I basically jump for free, and so that has saved me quite a bit of money. And I've gotten invited to be load organizer at some boogies, skydiving weekend parties, and I'm also, like I said, a load organizer up at Spaceland San Marcos right now. So my goal every weekend is basically just to find a handful of people and say, hey, what are you working on? You know, what can I help you with? You learn how to sit fly. You learn how to fly head down. You learn how to carve. You're learning a wingsuit. I teach people to wingsuit as well. And so, just cool stuff like that. And I'm able to kind of document that. And I've done video editing for a long time. And so those kind of mesh, and finally been seeing some good growth on social media. And that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, video editor, got great skill. So you're so young, knowing your personality for what you told me in this short amount of time. Are you going to you're going to do, okay, now I'm getting into this, avenue, or what do you have planned? It sounds like you're going to probably maybe, branch off into, another esoteric branch of maybe, aeronautical kind of stuff, or what else is there?
Yeah. So with skydiving, I'm kind of at the point where I'm happy right now. I think what I would really, really love to do is push video content a little bit more, in a more kind of professional level. Right now, I do some jobs where I'll have some people contact me and say, "Hey, can you get our products in the sky?" I do some really cool stuff with products in the sky, and so I love doing those projects. I would love to do a little bit more of that. General aviation is kind of a ways down the road. I would love to get my pilot's license. That would be cool. But I think that the next step for me, I push out a lot of skydiving edits, and so I love doing that. I've got a vlog series as well of kind of just the behind the scenes. So I would like to grow YouTube a little bit more within skydiving, and I would also like to. I think the ultimate goal for me is really just to get a Netflix series going. Something along that, maybe like maybe 13 to 15 episodes, maybe like 20, 30, 45 minutes long, just showing some of the kind of the highlight jumps that we've done. We've done some really, really cool stuff. This one, I bought a parachute that was actually made in 1958. So like a old kind of round parachute. It's actually a reserve that I ended up rigging up a whole system to safely jump and cut away. I didn't land it. That would be kind of ridiculous. But yeah, so just
works.
to jump
it
that
works
kind of,
though, that old parachute.
Oh yeah,
works.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, there's really nothing that can go wrong. It's fabric and lines, Yeah. But I didn't use that as my main chute. I used it as a third rig, a tertiary rig. Wow. And the opening sucked. I'm not gonna lie. I had whiplash for like 3 days. I don't know how the military guys did it back in the day. But yeah, I did a jump like that. We had this other jump where my good buddy, actually, he's in the military, does some TACP stuff, and he actually rigged up a whole rappelling system. And so we jumped out together. I deployed my parachute. He was hanging on to me. He tethered into me and actually rappelled down a 150-foot rope. And then once he got to the end of the rope, just whoop, and then he popped off the end of it. So lots of planning and cool stuff that has gone into that. That's kind of the part that I love the most, just the planning side of it, kind of figuring out the gear, rigging up gear, figuring out, hey, what do we need? What are we doing with the winds? All that kind of stuff. So just some crazy stuff, but that's what I would like to highlight on like a Netflix special.
Well, that'd be great because there's never been anything kind of like that. Sure. They're making so many different shows about so many different things. Why not?
Yeah.
That?
Yeah.
Military guys, a lot of them kind of like miss jumping out of a plane. So they're like, man, I got to continue to do this. I mean, and that's why you see a lot of those guys show up, or what's that like?
So a lot of those guys are static line. So their experience in the military is static line. I've got,
what's static line? What does that mean?
Static line is jumping round parachutes or kind of rectangular, not rectangular, but they're not ram air parachutes. So with ours, they're more like a paraglider where they'll have cells inflate. Okay. Static line is basically, I want to say it's in Georgia, but you'll go to airborne and you'll jump tethered to a C-130, something like that. And as soon as you leave the plane, it will automatically deploy your parachute. You're jumping from somewhere between maybe 800 to 1,500 feet, not high enough for anything in the civilian world. We're required to have an open parachute by 2,500 feet. Normally, we're jumping from almost just under 15,000 feet, right? And so the military guys, a lot of their experience is static line, but they will go through kind of like a transfer. Some of them will go to military free fall as well. I have seen cross paths with a few of those guys. They're super cool dudes. They come from a very different world, though. Military and sport world is very, very different. Obviously, very different application, right?
Yeah.
So they're jumping with rucksacks, very by the book, methodical, like can't even turn more than 90-degree turns. I think that's one of the rules. And some of the higher performance guys are hooking much, much bigger turns when they're flying ridiculously small parachutes.
Well, it sounds exciting. It sounds great. It sounds like you're having a great time. You're out there filming yourself and you're editing it and you're putting out amazing content. And tell everybody how they can find out more about you.
Me personally, yeah, just
Absolutely.
YouTube. If you guys have any kind of product content that you want to get your product in the sky, we've rigged up some cool stuff. I've jumped with some backpacks from brands. We've done a product shoot where this juice company actually hit me up. Big juice company. I think that they're in Whole Foods, but they said, "Hey, we want you to, just show videos of you and your friends drinking our juice and then go jump in the sky," right? Kind of put an edit together of that kind of stuff. I was like, you know what? Wait a minute. What if we do this? And so the plan that I came up with was actually So I fly wingsuit, and my sister we do this thing called a wingsuit rodeo. It's kind of a popular thing where basically we'll jump out together and a person will be riding on top of a wingsuit, right? So it's called a wingsuit rodeo. And when we do that, wingsuits have a lot more lift, right? But when you have another person on top, you're twice the weight. And so you keep up with regular jumpers, right? So I said, hey, do a wingsuit rodeo on me. And what we're going to do is we're going to give some of our other friends your juice, and they're going to jump out with the juice, and they're going to fly out next to us. They're going to give my sister the juice, and she's going to open it and drink it while she's on my back. And it ended up, we only needed one jump to make it happen. It was an epic little jump, and the edit came together really, really well. They absolutely loved the edit. So that's the kind of projects I alluded to earlier that I really, really love. And so I've done some stuff from like protein supplement companies as well, getting their stuff in the sky. And that's what I want to push more of. So if you guys want to see more of that or get involved with that, I'm sure you can drop my link or something like that, and link to my socials. You can shoot me an email at evan@skymediahouse.com.
Well, I think we might even do that for Bolotor. So we'll have to talk in the post game about that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
That sounds pretty exciting. I didn't even think of that. So yeah. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Awesome. Great stuff.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for joining us. Gear up for your next adventure and head over to Bolotor.com to check out the amazing Bolo Pack and their other innovative outdoor gear. Catch you next time.